We are live. Yes, we are live. And in this conversation, you and I are going to deep dive into Enoch. Was he taken by God, as they told us in church, or was it something else? I'll let you be the judge of that. Inquiring minds want to know. If you're brand new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have thousands of new subscribers on both the Valerie Love YouTube channel and the Christian Witches YouTube channel. You are most welcome here. You have found your spiritual community and your family for life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are loved. You are loved. Thank you for being with me on this. Hey, goddess, how you loving? How you loving? Thank you for being with me on this very bizarre sojourn into truth with the Bible. Not from took a nap and you ready. I love that, Phoenix. Hey, Queen B, how you loving? How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? Smash up the likes, smash up the shares, get everybody up in here. Usually we have hundreds of people watching this live stream every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I so love you. This has been a very bizarre sojourn into the true meaning of the Bible message and the biblical stories. They are not what we have been told. We have been told many things by the church and by the powers that be, and even those who edited the Bible and collated the Bible, right? Over the many years, we have heard so much, yet it's time to get down to the truth. It's time to get to the real story. And the Bible is pointing the way. I love the Bible. Okay, the source pagan. Let me see what you're saying. Happy Witchy Wednesday. How you loving? Come on in, come on in, come on in. And we're going to start in just a second. Hey, man, I've been having a rough time with Christians lately. It's so bad that it's making me feel like I need to be in a psych ward. Oh, wow. OCD. Fellow OCD over here too. That's what my kids used to say. My kids used to say, "Mom, you're like a little OCD." I think a little touch of OCD is all good. Definitely, you've got to have a little bit of compulsion to yourself to create something huge. What specifically are the Christians giving you a hard time, a rough time with? Let us know. Um, I know Christians can be trying, not all Christians, because many people here are Christians. Love for Brazil. Hey Leo, how you loving? How you loving? You're new to the channel. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Not all Christians are unkind, yet there are many who are. Not all Christians are judgmental, yet there are many who are. Not all Christians will curse you to hell, yet there are many who do. So, what we've got to learn and what we've got to embody is the love of God, the love of Christ, the love of the universe, the love of the infinite consciousness, whatever you desire to call it. Love. Love is what melts all fear. Love is the answer no matter what the question. Love is the only real thing. And that's the only thing that's been bringing us home. Okay? Baby, it's the love. It's the love, right? It's the love. All right. Hello, Valerie. This is my first time live with you. Yay! Oh, I'm so thankful, Beatrice. Welcome. You are so welcomed here. You are so loved. You are so loved. What kind of OCD do you have? I have no idea. They're making me feel like I'm not Christian. Then I don't love Christ and I'll go to hell basically because it's my choice. Okay. All right. I understand that. I get it. I get it. Here's the deal. Um, when I say OCD, let me clarify what I'm talking about. I don't mean OCD as in a diagnosis because I really don't believe in things like that. I really don't. I believe there are people that are paying more attention to certain things, and maybe that's what professionals may call a person with OCD. If it's not getting in the way of your life, then keep going. You are not weird. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anyone. And some people say, "Oh, I have ADHD, so I can't." you can all of these things are not in any way encumbrances to the infinite source that you are, right? So if your brain works a little differently from the person next door's to your brain, that's perfectly fine. It's only if something becomes a problem in your life and you're not able to be productive and you're not able to do the things that you desire to do. And most of all, you don't have inner peace. I have inner peace. So I don't know what kind of OCD is. I don't really even care. I just have heard the term. And but don't label yourself as anything other than God. Don't label yourself as anything other than divine. Perfect in every way. That's it. That's it. That's all. Infinite consciousness. That's it. That's all. All right, Kathleen, how you loving? Hello, I'm glad to be here live. I followed you for years. Yay! Specifically for the Christian witch aspect. I'm curious now if you still believe in Jesus and the resurrection. Oh, yes, baby. Yeah, Jesus is my dude. Always has been. Probably always will be. Yeah, the Christ presence has always been the guiding light of my life. And I never knew whether or not there was an actual historical Jesus. And I don't care. And I've said it many times on the channel because we get stuck sometimes in Jesus was a real person. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was. No, he wasn't. You know, and scholars have that debate. People also have a debate about Moses. Was Moses a real person? Was he a historical figure? Was he not? I don't know. I don't care. Finding John the Baptist's bones, you know, on the History Channel. All good. All good. If that's your jam, lovely. We're above that. We are above the third dimension. All of those things exist on the third dimension. And what we're talking about here in this community of global witches, wizards, warlocks, magical beings, necromancers, astrologers, tarot card slingers, all of us. What we are talking about here is fifth dimensional consciousness, where you are tapping in to currents and streams of energy that we could call Christ consciousness, Buddha nature. That's all done beyond the third dimension. So it doesn't matter if they had a body or didn't. These are infinite streams of consciousness that you can tap at any time. Christ is an infinite stream of consciousness. Christ consciousness. And what is that infinite stream of consciousness about for me? That infinite stream of consciousness is about pure, unconditional love. He even laughed at the Yahweh of the Bible. Jesus didn't believe in the Yahweh of the Bible. Read his words closely. Jesus did not, if we did have a real person named Jesus, he didn't believe in the Yahweh of the Bible as being God. He was scoffing at God. That's not God. He knew that the God that we're talking about is within you. Yes, family, it's here. It's nowhere else. So, in order for you to tap into, because a lot of times people ask the question, well, if the real God is not in the Bible, where is it? Right? Which is an excellent question. I love that question. I love all the questions. I love it because it means you're seeking. It means you're on the path. It means you're deconstructing. It means you're stripping away all of the beliefs and the things that people told us. It means you're searching. You want to know. That's beautiful, isn't it? That's beautiful. Yes? Oh, you got married. Jesus got married to a man. Okay. All right. You know, that's beautiful that you're searching and you want to know. Guess what, family? You don't have to search for anything because you are that which you seek. I learned that after decades of meditation. We're looking for something in all the wrong places. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Looking for love in all the wrong places. You are the love that you are seeking. You are the God that you are praying to. You are the infinite source that you hope steps into your world and does something for you. This is the end of sky daddies, sky gods. Please, sky daddy. No. I am Glinda the Good Witch. I say it all the time. That told Dorothy, click your heels 3 times. You have the power. You always had the power. The magic is inside of you. You need to activate it and wake it up and stop asking God for permission and stop beseeching deities outside of yourself. You are those deities. And you can access any and all deities. Close your eyes and go within. And here you are in the infinite field where you can connect with any deities you desire. Any beings, I don't even call them deities because everybody's God. Ye are gods. Okay? Everybody's God. All righty. Okay. Let's dive in, shall we? Let's get on screen share. Let's dive in, baby. Yeah, goddess, I know. Calvin, I would probably put him out of the stream because I don't think that's our Calvin that I know. I think he's just a troll, just trying to bring, some trollish energy to the. We just pour love on people like that because I knew there was nothing wrong with my audio. But there are people that have nothing to do with their life. Okay, Calvin. Okay, your internet has been crashing. Okay, Calvin. Very good. You're not a troll. All good. No, Calvin. The audio is just perfect. It might be your internet going in and out. Let's get to Enoch. I gotta promise you something. I gotta share something with you, family. Oh, Emma, you were definitely led here. I've got to share something with you, family. If you're watching this and you are still wanting to hold on to the Christian story, I can help. Because it was very difficult for me coming out of Christianity and embodying the magic that was already coursing through my blood and bones. I can help with that. See, you don't have to give up your whole Christian everything to be a magical being. As a matter of fact, Christianity is a very magical religion. They just don't know it. And people told you that you couldn't be magical and be Christian. People told you that. That wasn't my experience. My experience that Jesus was one of the greatest wizards that ever lived. Let's go on screen share. We're about to get into it. You know how we do. You know how we do. We are about to get into it. Come on, family. Smash up the likes, smash up the shares, and let's get into Enoch. And we are going to talk about, thank you so much about the color. Thank you. I so appreciate it. I love this color. As a matter of fact, this head wrap is from Bali. And we are going to Bali in just a few weeks for the Radiant Soul Unveiled. Baby, if you want to get your whole life. We only have 1 spot left for Bali and Ubud, and I think only 3 spots left for the beach portion of the retreat. All right, so if we haven't met, I'm Reverend Valerie Love. I am the author of 25 books on practical spirituality, the occult, Christian witchcraft. I'm a seeker of truth. We know this. I say this to everyone who's new here because we have so many wonderful new beings here with us in this family. When I talk about being a Christian witch, I am not talking about a religion. I am talking about Christ consciousness. That's what I'm talking about. And I am here to support anyone who desires to study the magical arts and sciences, the mystical arts, occult teachings, ancient civilizations, and tarot, Bible magic, all of these things. We are engaged in the great work. Okay, here are some of the wonderful books that you can pick up that I have written. Let's talk about Enoch's abductions. Was Enoch abducted? Now, we're going to examine the evidence for extraterrestrial activity. We're going to consider information from the Book of Enoch and also Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian texts and what they say. We're going to look at science and what is science saying. Archaeology, astronomy, common sense, and rational thinking is really, really important in this conversation. Now, here's a fair warning. The fair warning is for people who still believe that a fish can swallow a man and he can live in said fish's belly for 3 days. Or that a virgin can have a baby, or that 8 billion people came from 2 people, literally on Friday, March 1st, I think it is 5055 BC. They actually had a date for the creation of Adam. If you believe that, and we have bones from people that are older than that. Yet, people still want to believe in the 5 6,000 year history of humanity. If you still believe in all of that mythology from the Bible, you will find this information highly triggering. It's probably a good idea right now for you to skip to another video or to a different channel and never look back until you're ready to really peel off the layers of religious conditioning, societal conditioning, and the like that we have been subjected to for millennia on this planet. Just a fair warning for everybody else. Let's roll. Now, we're not really here to determine if Enoch. I want to set this conversation up perfectly as best I can. We're not here to either prove or disprove the existence of a character named Enoch, because I do not believe that is germane to this conversation. The intention is to share potent ancient mysteries and esoteric knowledge that really changes everything. It changes everything about how we connect with source, how we live our lives, the religious structures. It changes everything, what we're talking about in this series. The real God is not in the Bible, and the Bible is not about God, and the Bible isn't even spiritual. The Hebrew part of the Bible, which is the first part, which we call the Old Testament, is about the Elohim. They are Elohim stories. What are Elohim? Elohim are gods or mighty ones or powerful ones or Anuna or Anunnaki. These are the ones from whom from heaven, from on high to earth came. And when we say heaven, we don't mean anything metaphysical. We mean the actual heavens, like space. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking metaphysics. Now, I have a question for you. Let's look at this story. I'm going to tell you the story of Enoch, exactly as it's written. And tell me, if someone told you this story, what would you be thinking? Okay, that's what we're going to look at. If someone told you this story, would you think that this is a God story, or would you think that this is maybe some ideas that came to my mind? Maybe it would be an ayahuasca story, that you have DMT and you have this kind of experience with the archons, because we know that people do connect with other intelligences that are beyond the third dimension when you take ayahuasca, DMT. I have many times, maybe you have many times. Or this could be an alien type of experience, not like Terminator, actual intelligences that are similar to us, that just come from different places. They come from the Orion star system. They come from the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades, or they come from Sirius, or they come from Nibiru. So you tell me, if someone were to tell you this story, forget for a minute that we're talking about the book of Enoch. Forget for a minute that we're talking about the Apocrypha of the Holy Bible. Forget for a minute any religion, Jewish, Christian, anything. Forget for a moment everything that you've been told and just take the story at face value. Let's just look at the story for what it is, and let's see what happens. Okay, so what happens to Enoch? Enoch says that he was asleep in his bed, and he was having this great distress. He was weeping. He was just, he was really distressed. And he awakens to see two very large men by his bed. Here is how he described the men: so big that I never saw such on earth. Okay? He doesn't say angels. He said men. And he said they were huge, and he was terrified. He said their faces were shining like the sun. Their eyes were like a burning light. Fire was coming from their lips. They were singing. They had clothing of various kinds and purple. Their wings were brighter than gold, hands whiter than snow. God sent us to you, and tell your family that you're coming with us and you'll be gone for a while. What? Okay, now just be with that part of the story before we go into the first heaven, the second heaven, and all of that. Let's come on screen share for a minute. Let's just digest that. Okay, let's just digest that. Your friend tells you, sounds like a DMT experience. What does it sound like to you, family? Your friend tells you that he or she was sleeping in bed, tossing and turning, distressed, like, you can tell energetically something's going on in your sleep. We've all been there. We've all been tossing and turning in the sleep, right? Enoch was tripping. LSD or something like that. You probably wouldn't think that these are angels. What would you be thinking? Okay, so two men. He's looking at two men in his bedroom. He's laying in the bed looking at two men. He said, very large. He said, larger than any men on earth. He says it right there. So why are we going to, spiritual? Oh, they had to be angels. Da 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 da. We don't need to go there, right? Okay, let's continue with the story. So now they tell him, come with us. Where? Up. Tell your kids, Methuselah is Enoch's son, right? Tell your kids you're leaving. Oh my God. The man is struck with terror. He's like, oh my goodness, I'm going with these two beings. And he tells them, I'm leaving. Okay, well, where does he go? Well, let's go and look at it again. It sounds like shrooms. I know, right? I've had shrooms many times. It could be shrooms. Well, what happens? They lift him up. So right there's a direction. Heaven is not up. If we're talking about a metaphysical heaven is not up. Heaven is a state of consciousness. Heaven is not up. We refer to heaven. There's no directions in consciousness. We refer to heaven as up and held down only because we're in the third dimension and we want to put it into a framework that we can wrap our minds around. So he goes to the first heaven, which is actually more like the first level of this place where he went. He saw a very large sea, bigger than the earthly sea. He said he saw elders and rulers of the stellar orders. He saw 200 angels who rule the stars, who fly with their wings. He saw storehouses of what? Of snow, dew, olive oil, and the angels who guard them. Now, let me ask you a question. What does heaven need with guardians? If we just do the math, okay, so he keeps going up. Second heaven, great darkness. Oh my goodness. Prisoners hanging. Prisoners. They're in torture. And Enoch asked these two abductors, what's with all this torture? And they tell him, those are apostates who turned away, and they're princes on the 5th level of this here space station or whatever he's in. I myself have an idea or have an intuition that it was some kind of space station. They asked Enoch to pray for them. And you know what's very interesting about his reply? He's like, pray for y'all. I'm just a mortal man. And he's like, and I got abducted. I don't even know what's going to happen to me. How am I supposed to pray for y'all? He said, I don't even know my own fate. Okay, they keep going up. They go to the third heaven. What's in the third heaven? Sweet flowering trees, fruits, foods. Come on, family. We know there's no trees, there's no fruit, and there's no food in heaven. These are all third dimensional concepts. We have not left the third dimension yet. We are still in the third dimension and we are seeing fruits and flowers and foods. How come we don't just take it for what it's saying? It says the tree of life is there, and there's the place where the Lord rests when he goes into paradise. Now, we already know that the word Lord does not refer to the Almighty God as it states in the Bible. In the Bible, Moro Biglino, let me get you over to his book right now. Hold on, because I always love to give you resources and sources. Moro Biglino, who worked for a Vatican approved publisher who was doing a transliteration, not a translation. A translation and a transliteration are two different things. A translation means that we're going to take this sentence in French and we're going to translate it into a sentence in English that makes sense. So in French, you may say something like, the bread at the store is delicious, right? And you translate it into English and it says, I went to the store today and got this delicious bread. See, it's not said the exact same way in French and in English. That's a translation. It is giving you the meaning. A transliteration is very different. It's giving you the exact word for word in another language that is said in the first language. The bread went to the store. It may not make sense in your language, yet it is a clean, clear window by which you can see the original. So that's what he was doing. And how do you get a transliteration? You must understand etymology. You must understand the origin of words and be able to break down the words and determine what does this word mean. Just like, I'll give you an example. In Hebrew, they told us seraphim means some kind of angel. That's not so. This is what they told us. That's not what the Bible says. Seraph, root word from which they get seraphim. Seraph means to burn. It doesn't mean angel at all. Now, seraph also is connected to possibly a serpent. Wow. Well, we wouldn't have got all of that if we just read seraphim. If you put the word seraphim in front of any English speaking person that has a Christian background, they're going to say, oh, that's an angel. No, seraph in the original Hebrew that the Hebrew Bible was written in doesn't mean angel. So Mauro Biglino, who wrote The Naked Bible, this book will blow your mind. It will blow your socks off. I'm actually going to drop the link in the chat. We're going to go back to where I am in my presentation. But right now, let me drop a link in the chat to where I have compiled books for you. This is my Amazon store. People love this list of books. I have collated the list of books for you. Let me copy this link. And I'm going to drop it right now in the chat. And I'm going to put paid link because that is required by Amazon so that everyone can know this is a this is an affiliate link. And if you would use that affiliate link, it'd be so kind. That is wonderful. It will help the Christian witches movement all over the world. It is so wonderful, so wonderful. Okay. Now, let's continue. So Mauro Biglino says that when we look at he was doing the transliteration, and this was what Mauro Biglino said. Let me come off screen share to say this. Mauro Biglino, a scholar of the Hebrew language, scholar of Hebrew etymology, specifically the Hebrew that the original Bible was written in, the original Hebrew Bible was written in, which is different from modern day Hebrew, of course, right? He said he found at least 20 different Elohim in the Hebrew Bible. So when you read Elohim, El Elyon, El Shaddai, Yahweh, these are all different Elohim, not the same. These are all different Elohim, also known as Anunnaki. Let's go back on screen share and continue. So let's go deeper into this Enoch story. Okay. Now let's go all the way back to where we were. Where were we? He was on the third heaven. I think we were about to go into the third heaven. Here we are on the third heaven with Enoch, because these two beings are lifting him up, 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 up. So the Lord, I said all that to say that whenever you see the word the Lord, know that they're not talking about the Almighty Infinite Source. of which, yes, there is an almighty infinite source. When people hear me say that the real God is not in the Bible, they think that I'm an atheist or I don't believe in a real God. And they're like, well, where did you come from? You came from somewhere. Wow. It's fascinating that when you tell people that the God that is of the Bible is not the real God, they have no other place to go to in their consciousness than, oh, you must be an atheist, or where did you come from? They cannot even fathom that there is a God, infinite source, that is not in the Bible. They can't even fathom that. They can fathom no other possibilities other than what they have been taught. And that's how you can tell that a person is really not ready for this kind of information, because they can't even fathom, like it will break their brain to that it never occurred to them that there is something very wrong with the Christian story as we've been fed. It never even occurred to them. So when you tell them that the God of the Bible is not the real God, they're ready to fight you, and they're ready to, come out with the pitchforks and kill the witch and all that kind of stuff. Why? Well, first of all, because they have a warring God, Yahweh, this lesser, this petty God. He was a god of storms and thunder and things like that, metallurgy and whatnot. He, a lesser god in the Canaanite pantheon, the iteration. This is an iteration of Enlil. They're just iterations of the originals, which are the Anunnaki. Well, Enlil didn't like humans, as you can tell from all the Yahweh stories in the Bible. Well, when you see the word Lord, just know that is not, it doesn't matter what they told you in church, they are not talking about the almighty infinite source. The infinite source doesn't have a name. The infinite source doesn't have a religion. The infinite source doesn't have something that you have to do for it. The infinite source doesn't need your money. What would infinite source do with money? People fight you on tithes. They ready to fight to say tithes are correct. Tithes are one of the most unchristian things that you can do. Tithes are completely unbiblical if you're talking about money. It's unbiblical. Yet church is unbiblical. There's no church in the Bible. There's no deacons in the Bible. There's no Jesus didn't talk about a hierarchy. That Jesus didn't say, okay, now we got to set up a pope, because when I leave, we need a pope to help you. Jesus said you're going to have the Holy Spirit, which is going to be your helper. It's inside you. He didn't say, okay, after the Pope, then we need some dudes to walk around with some big pointy hats and some red skirts in Rome. And we're going to need all of them to be the bishops, and they need to argue back and forth about what I really was. Was I God? Was I not God? Was I a human? Was I a human at birth? Was I God at birth? Was I? And then after we have all these bishops, we need some deacons. And we need to get rid of all the women, when Jesus was with a bunch of women all the time. All kinds of women. Jesus was with men, women. He was with everybody. Anybody that wanted to be with him was with him. And then we need to have a whole bunch of parishioners coming in, and we need the parishioners to be giving money to the big people up there. Where the fuck did they get that from? And they have convinced people that that's what you're supposed to do. They have utterly convinced people that that's what you're supposed to do. On the TikTok, when I put up that video about, nowhere in the Bible does it say tithes or money. Tithes were never money. It's here on the YouTube channel. It's on the TikTok, the Christian Witches TikTok. Do you know people were saying, well, how's the church supposed to pay their lights? They never even thought, how's the church supposed to even be in existence? Jesus did never say, get a church. Jesus never said, get a building. Jesus said, you are the church. How is the church supposed to pay its lights? You ain't supposed to have no damn church. How about that? Okay, but I'll digress. Let's stay on Enoch. Don't get me on these Christians. Let's stay on Enoch. So Enoch is now in the third heaven, and on the third heaven, he sees springs that flow into milk and honey. So now, what is happening here? What is happening here? And then he went on the northern side, and there was another terrible place with tortures and cruel darkness and gloom and fire and whatnot. Now, obviously, it can't be hell, because he says he's in heaven. How are these tortures taking place in heaven? That would be incongruent with the Christian story we've been given, because the Christian story told us that either you go up or you go down. And if you go down, you're burning forever, and there's where all the tortures are. But in heaven, it's all beautiful, and the streets are paved with gold, and the angels are sitting on fluffy clouds, swinging their feet, playing harps, and everything is beautiful forever and ever. But Enoch said there was tortures up there. And he saw this terrible place, torture, terrible, crazy cruelty. He saw it on the second heaven, and he saw it on the third heaven. Well, what's happening here? God's tormenting people in heaven. Okay, let's keep going. He gets to the fourth heaven. It gets real interesting. He sees the rays of the sun and the moon. He's measuring their progression. He's seeing circles, wheels. He's seeing the egress and the ingress of the sun. He says there are four huge stars, that each of the stars, of these four huge stars, have 1,000 stars under it. Is it possible that he was talking about four of some of the brightest stars in our sky, which are Sirius, Canopus, Alpha Centauri, and Arcturus? Is it possible that he was talking about these four bright lights in the sky? Is it possible? He says it was four huge stars. It's not set. Clearly, the man is in space. 4,000 stars to the right of the sun's wheel and 4,000 to the left. 15 groups of 10,000 angels attended, and 1,000 at night. 6 winged creatures and 100 angels that kindle the sun. Very, very interesting. What do you make of it? What do you make of it? Okay, in the fourth heaven, let's continue. He sees phoenixes. A phoenix? A phoenix is like a bird that dies, and from its own ashes, it bursts into flame. From its own ashes, it rises again. Chalkidry. What's chalkidry? It means serpents. But it is rendered seraphim, angels, no serpents. He goes to the east and he sees the sun's egress. He says 6 gates open. He measures the gates. He's receiving the calendar. There are 6 great gates where the sun sets. There's 365 days and a quarter. To this day, the Enochian calendar is the calendar that we use. It's a solar calendar. He laid it all out in the book of Enoch. Now, this is thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the first telescope was even invented. He has the exact measurements of the year. He has a whole calendar in there based on a solar calendar. Then he details a lunar calendar. Where is this man getting all this information? And supposedly these biblical people were walking around with sandals on. Walking through rocks and wilderness. I mean, these biblical people didn't even have electricity, according to what they told us. These biblical people were so ancient, they were barely scraping together. They had a little sheep and a little goat. And oh my God. None of these biblical people would have known anything about solar or stellar or lunar forces or any of the workings of the stars. Sees the course of the moon, but this is what gets me. He sees armed soldiers. What? Armed soldiers? What do you need armed soldiers in heaven for? Because it ain't heaven. Oh my goodness. They so fooled us. They told us all this stuff it's God, it's mysterious. How about his technology? Okay, 5th heaven, he goes up higher. I think this is a space station. Y'all tell me. And he's describing what he sees on each level of the space station. On the 5th heaven, he sees countless soldiers called Grigori. Oh, this is something familiar. This is something familiar. Of human appearance, which means that all the other ones didn't have human appearance. He said these have human appearance because the 2 that are taking him up don't have human appearance. Now, the Greek transliteration of the word Egigoroi, or the Mirim, which is in Hebrew, translated watchers. We talked about the watchers. This is the Ijiji. Who are the Ijiji? The lesser Anunnaki, the ones who were on a satellite station on Mars. Yes, Mars is habitable. We know this because we're going there. They want a satellite station on Mars. It was tough living though on Mars. And they decided that they were going to come to Mount Hermon. They made a pact. And they decided that they were going to be with women on the planet. See, because they more had a human appearance than the Anuna, the Elohim, right? And so that's where they were. Now, he says their size was greater than giants and that they were all silent and their faces were withered. And he was wondering what was going on with them. And that's when the two that are with him, that are giving him this grand tour of the space station, they tell him, oh, those are the ones, they broke their vows. They broke the universal pact that you can't mix with this species on the planet. And not only did they mix with the species, but we already talked about how they started witchcraft and things like this. And they helped us because they taught us makeup and jewelry and metallurgy and swords and herbology and enchantments and just everything. And the gods were like, y'all giving away all our secrets? I don't think so. And they snatched them up and they had them incarcerated. Enoch tells them that he saw their brethren on the lower level. And he says, well, maybe if you sing like the other ones are singing, maybe the Lord will give you some reprieve, because they were being tortured. They were incarcerated. Sixth heaven. This story gets more and more bizarre as you go. It is the sixth heaven. Yet it is coherent. It's a coherent story. On the sixth heaven, he sees 7 bands of angels, faces shining more than the sun. Then he said this, and I'm like, oh, are these robots? Look what he said. He said there was no difference in their faces or behavior or manner of dress. They all looked identical. I'm thinking, are these clones? Are these robots? He's looking at these beings and he's saying there's no difference in their faces. Now, we know if you even put a mother and a daughter together, even though my daughter looks just like me, you can still tell there's difference in our faces. There are no 8 billion people on the planet. You cannot get 2 people that look exactly the same. Even identical twins have a little hair difference. And even the ones that are pretty identical, if you separate them over time, they change. But this was a whole group of beings that had no difference in their faces or their behavior or their manner of dress. They were all identical, which would lead you to believe that perhaps this was either robotics or these were clones. They all looked exactly the same. That's not biologically possible. He said they make the orders. They are learning the stars, the moon, the sun. They are in charge of the administration of the world. They are higher than the others. He said he saw 6 phoenixes, 6 cherubim, and six winged ones. Didn't Ezekiel see ones that had 6 wings too? Very fascinating. Think, if you see a line of beings, they have identical faces, but they're not sextuplets or quintuplets. They have identical behavior. He marveled at it, and he mentioned that all of them have an identical behavior and the same manner of dress. Now, that's a bizarre thing right there. And sometimes we just read over these things in the Bible and the Apocrypha, and we don't really pay attention to what is this trying to say? And what are the implications of that? Are we talking robotics thousands of years ago. Seventh heaven, a great light and fiery troops of archangels, dominions, orders, and governments. Governments, 9 regiments. It sounds very militaristic. Stations of light. He is overcome by such great terror in the seventh heaven because the whole thing is just so overwhelming. He sees the Lord, quote unquote, sitting on the throne, and he sees heavenly soldiers. I keep wondering about these soldiers and why does it sound militaristic and why does it sound like there are so many guards and weaponry and prisons and all of that? That ain't the heaven that I think Christians think they're going to. Eighth heaven, called, now this is a big clue right here, family. Look at this word. Look at this word. Muzaloth. Look at this word. Called Muzaloth in the Hebrew tongue, meaning zodiac. The eighth heaven is the zodiac. Great light and fiery troops of great archangels, dominions, orders, and governments. Ninth heaven is called Kuchavim. What does that mean in Hebrew? Heavenly bodies or stars. What's on the ninth heaven? Homes of the 12 constellations of the circle of the firmament. That's the ninth heaven. The ninth heaven, heavenly bodies or stars, where the homes of the 12 constellations are. That's stellar. That's interstellar. That is space. It's very clear. 10th heaven, called Aravoth in Hebrew. He sees the appearance of the Lord's face like iron made to glow in fire. Why would it look like iron? Is it a mask? And it shone forth and cast it out, emitting sparks, and it burned. He falls down. Michael lifts him because Enoch, he's just going through it. He's just like overwhelmed. Michael gets instructions. And Michael, we know he's a great warlord. Many people call on Michael as this infinite consciousness. If he is one of the Anunnaki and you can contact him, because I'm pretty sure you can contact most of them. I don't think most of them are dead. I think you can contact a lot of them. Michael, if he is actually an Anunnaki, or if he is an infinite stream of consciousness, that's a military person all day long, war all day long. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows Michael is got a sword, a flaming sword. They know he's all about the war. So the Lord, quote unquote, I think this is Anu. Anu tells Michael, I'm just going to say that it's Anu. Anu tells Michael to take Enoch and get rid of his earthly garments and put him into the garments of my glory. Now, here's another clue. Glory, glory, glory. If we go to Moro Biglino, what does he say about that word glory? This is what he says about the word glory. In the Naked Bible, you got to get it, read it. He says, the word that is translated in our Bibles into glory is kavod, K-A-V-O-D. That is the Hebrew word that is translated into our Bibles as glory. Kavod, according to some Jewish scholars, say kavod means a big heavy thing that is metal and that could be dangerous. It doesn't mean glory. And we're going to talk in future episodes about kavod and all the places kavod appears in the Bible. And every time kavod appears in the Bible, it's quite likely that it's a spaceship. A kavod is not glory. Okay? So now let's go back and let's look and see how that lines up. So where are we? Okay. So he's getting, before we get to what happens. Okay. 10th heaven. We're on the 10th heaven now. We're almost there. He's almost about to come back home. Okay. It says, Michael is told to remove Enoch's earthly garments and put him into the garments of my glory. Put him into the garments of my kavod. A kavod is a spaceship. Put him into the gear that he needs to be put into. He's anointed, he's dressed, and then he says that after they did all that to him, he's shining like one of the glorious ones. Then they tell Pravuel to bring books to Enoch. And they also tell him on the 10th heaven, they tell him, this is where he's actually having a conversation with quote unquote the Lord, which is not the universal God source. They tell him to write. And they bring a reed, is what they call a reed of quick writing. And Enoch is receiving all of this in-depth instruction about astrology, the workings of the universe, the calendar, destinies of humanity, all of that. And he writes for 30 days and 30 nights, producing 366 books. Now, before we go to that, they're going to let him go. Before we go into that, let me ask you a question. Before we go into that, let me ask you a question. Woo! Family, is this something or what? Is this blow the lid off the top of your head? Now, do you remember that Zechariah Sitchin, of course, he wrote the books about Nibiru, the Anunnaki. He wrote all those books, right? Wonderful. Tons of research. In his books, he calls this master scribe Indupsar. Does anybody remember that? He calls this master scribe Indupsar. And he says that when they brought this master scribe up to the space station, wherever they're taking Enoch up, they're taking all of these different beings up. When you heard of Indupsar, are you dumb? You heard of them? I like that name, are you dumb? I like that. Yes, that when he went up, they gave him a special writing instrument, and the writing instrument glowed, and it was able to write very quickly. It was like an advance. I was like, I'd like to get my hands on one of those. Maybe I could write books really fast. It was a instrument with crystals, and it wrote super fast. That's why he was able to write 366 books in 30 days. He didn't even have to go to sleep. Okay? Now, let's go further. Let's go further. So he's on the 10th heaven. He's writing on these, he's writing, 366 books. Okay, now he's going to get some parting instructions. He is instructed to go home, that he's going to go home and he's only going to spend 30 days with his family. He's going to tell everyone everything that he learned here. He's going to deliver the wisdom to the people. And then after 30 days, those two dudes are going to bring you back up here. He told him, yeah, you're going to come up here with us, but I'm going to send these two to take you, and they're going to wait for the 30 days for you to get your affairs in order. And then you're coming back up here with us and live up here. And that's why it says Enoch lived 365 years. And they say he lived a year of years. What does that mean? It's 365 days in a year. So he lived a year of years. 365 years. It's all mathematical. It's all astrological. Now here's the departure. This blew my mind. If this hasn't blown your mind yet, this part is really going to blow your mind, where they have to do this freezing of his face. He calls an older angel, the Lord, quote unquote, of this place. He calls an older angel terrible and menacing, and placed him by Enoch. And Enoch is saying that he appears white as snow with hands like ice, having the appearance of great frost. This man is like you know how you get that ice that is the hot ice and it's smoking? He's like that. So cold that it's smoking. He froze my face. Enoch said he froze my face because I could not endure the terror of the Lord like a stove's fire or the sun's heat. Does that sound like radiation to you? And the Lord tells Enoch, we have to freeze your face, or no man will be able to look at your face. What? I don't think people are reading this. We have to freeze your face, Enoch. What? This big, terrible, menacing looking being had to come and do something to Enoch's face. He describes it as the man froze my face. And the Lord is explaining to him, we have to freeze your face, otherwise nobody can look at you. Does this sound a little bit like Moses? Because when Moses was on Mount Sinai, he wasn't talking to God. He was talking to one of the Elohim. He wasn't talking to God. This is not heaven. They don't have to freeze your face in heaven. Who was this big, menacing being with hands like ice, looking like frost? I think he was a radiation mitigation specialist. That's what I think he was. I think he was mitigating the radiation that was on Enoch. I think that he was a specialist who could do something to Enoch's face so that the radiation wouldn't touch the other people when they took him back down. And Enoch described it as they froze my face because he probably couldn't feel his face for a while or something like that. After that, and they're explaining it to him, we have to freeze your face, Enoch. Oh my God. Is this thing weird or what? This has nothing to do with God. I hope people can understand and see that. This has nothing to do with God, but we just don't want to accept that there are higher order civilizations that came here many years ago and that are still here among many of us. Beings from the Pleiades, beings from Orion, beings from Sirius, beings from Nibiru. We don't want to accept that. No, humanity will lose their mind to really accept that there are many kinds of beings on this planet. Well, after they froze his face, the first two escorts, they reappear and they say, okay, we're going to take you down to Earth so you can say bye to your sons and what. I don't think he had a wife because they never mentioned his wife. And I'm sure his wife would be like, you going where? For how long? Wait a minute, I need to speak to these Elohim. Who's supposed to take care of us? What you think we're supposed to be? No. Maybe they didn't mention his wife because maybe Enoch's wife was not around anymore. She's like, I done had enough with you and your abductions. I'm over it. Okay? Well, the escorts bring him back down to Earth. And sure enough, when they bring him back down to Earth, they wait with him for 30 days. They stay. They hang around on Earth, the two beings. They hang around on Earth. And Enoch's telling his family, they have a big party for him. Thousands of people come. They have a celebration. They're kissing Enoch. Clearly, he's deeply loved. They're kissing Enoch. They're loving him. They're so happy for him. They are telling them how much he'll miss them. He's talking to them, giving them a lot of wisdom and how to live a good life and a lot of the things that he learned while he was up there. And he's like, 30 days, I'm going to be gone. He's telling Methuselah and his other sons, I'm going to be gone. Remember, Methuselah is a great-grandson of Noah, also known as Atrahasis, also known as Utnapishtim, also known as, what was his other name? Atrahasis, Ziatsudra. Different stories, he has different names. Same being, same person. Methuselah is Noah's grandfather because Methuselah had Lamech. Lamech had Noah. So they were all in cahoots with the higher order beings that were here on the planet. That's why these stories are so legendary. So here are some of the similarities. If Indupsar is Enoch, You know, Zechariah Sitchin didn't say that Indupsar was Enoch, yet Indupsar and Enoch, they're both divine scribes. They're given all this knowledge. I mean, deep knowledge, like mind blowing knowledge of the stars, of the constellations, of the sun, the moon, the year, the calendar, mathematics, physics. And they were instructed to write it, and they were an intermediary. They would go back and forth because the Anunnaki had favorites. And I'll tell you some of their favorites. Remember, family, we've got to use critical thinking skills. We've got to do our research and don't think we're going to find these answers in church. If you ask churches this, they will tell you that you have lost your mind and you need to stop smoking weed. If you even ask Bible scholars about this, they will say, no, it's all ancient myths. It's myths, it's myths, it's myths. That's what they'll tell you. No truth to it. It's just all myths. That's what they'll say. I do want to tell you that we've got an incredible opportunity for you and I to meet up coming up. We have Bali. We're going to be in Bali for the Radiant Soul Unveiled Bali retreat. And then I'm going to answer a couple of questions in the chat. We have Salem coming up for Enchant Fest on my birthday weekend. Woo, woo. We have Sedona coming up, the 11/11 Sedona. Oh my God. And we have Dubai. I cannot get over Sedona. I am so happy we're going back to Sedona. I am going to drop the link in the chat for you for Bali because, like I said, Bali only has one more space. Bali, Salem, Sedona. I want to make sure you know about this because I want to see your face in the place. I want to see you soon coming up as I'll be teaching all of this in person. My favorite way to teach is in person. And I also want to make sure that you know that next year we're going to be in Dubai in April, and that's going to come up faster than you can imagine. And super inexpensive for those tickets because that's going to be my 20-year anniversary of teaching humanity. Is that incredible or what? That's freaking incredible. Okay, now we got a we have got a lot of incredible people here in the chat family. Oh my God, I'm so thankful for all of you being here. I'm so thankful for all of you being here. Now, we do have on both the Valerie Love YouTube channel and the Christian Witches YouTube channel, we do have so many new subscribers, and I'm so happy about all of that. So happy about all of that. Okay. Oh my, yes, Christian Warlocks can join too. Yes. We always have brothers with us. It's just that the brothers are not ever as present in the pictures as the sisters because the men are like, But sometimes, let me show you some pictures in the Christian Witches Convention. And when you go to the Christian Witches Convention, go to christianwitches.com. Right now, on the front page of the Christian Witches website is our pictures from the Christian Witches Convention. We have brothers there. There goes a brother right there. There goes another brother right there. Yeah, we have brothers. We always have brothers with us. Yet we have an overwhelming amount of, that's the Christian Witches Mystery School shirt right there. If you zoom in closely, that's the symbol for the Christian Witches Mystery School. That's us in New Orleans. And there's another one of our brothers that we absolutely love from Crescent City Conjure, Elias, St. Elias. We love him. Yeah, we get it in. We get it in with magic. We do our rituals. We do healing, all of that. And if you would like to have if you go to Christian Witches Convention right here, and you want to be notified when tickets go on sale for the Christian Witches Convention 2025 Memorial Day weekend in New Orleans, just pop your name and email address in there, and we will give you, I don't know why mine is showing in there. Okay, it's supposed to look like that. Just drop your name and email address in there, and we will send you we'll send you notice when it's going on sale. Okay, now, Here's the bottom line, family. And please do in the chat, tell me, and in comments when you watch this, tell me what you want to see next week. Do you want to see Moses? Do you want to see Noah? Do you want to see Methuselah, or Melchizedek's birth? That was pretty shocking. That's pretty shocking from the book of Enoch. Do you want to see, what do you want to see next? Put it in the chat so that we can do some research around it and we can all grow together, learn together. The Gospels. Yes, we are definitely going to be going to the Gospels. We haven't even left Genesis yet. Yes, we are absolutely going to get to the Gospels because I freaking love the whole Bible. And I absolutely so appreciate all of you being here on this journey, because it is not easy to dissect and let go of the things that we have been taught. And not only have we been taught them, we've been made to believe that you got to hold on to this stuff until you die. This is the absolute word of God, dot, dot, dot. And we're rising above that. We're coming to understand that it is humanity's time for the golden age. I'm thinking of the Sedona trip. Yay! Come with us to Sedona. We love that. More of the book of Enoch, because that book is not in the Bible. It is so true, Queen V. The book is not in the Bible, and there is so much in the book. Ooh, Jacob in the land of Pineal. Ooh, somebody's been doing some studying and research. Can you discuss how Jesus is mixed in with all of this? Oh, yes, Jesus is absolutely in with it. Let me put some links in the chat, because I see you all asking about Salem and I see you asking about Sedona. So let me get in the chat and give you everything that you require. Yes, more from the book of Enoch. Ooh, wee. And this link right here will give you everything that you require about all of our upcoming trips from Salem, Sedona. I love teaching in person. I love the Christian Witches Mystery School. We go to Salem and we get it in. We go in. We get our magical implements. We get our magic tools. We go to the magic shops. We get into our rituals. We go to the cemetery. We get deep into our studies. Oh, baby, we get it on. Plus, it's my birthday. So I love that. I love that. Black Forever, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just love that. The girl Enoch, more about Enoch. Lila, what about Noah? Oh, you like the idea of Noah? Yep, there is 3 Jesus in the Bible. Whoa. Can we dive into archangels in the future? Oh, I would love it. Yes, we can do all of it. Family, we can do it all. I love you, love you, love you. Have a beautiful night. Peace. Kaisia. Love you.